Okay, here's how Miro works. See, it's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk?
Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up.
Why?
He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
Sports and Talk. Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin. The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele.
Hey y'all, you're listening to the Raven in Real Life radio show and podcast on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the heartbeat of Metro Atlanta.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. If you're listening live in Noonan, I am so glad that you're here. If you're listening later on the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a good one for you today. The first half of this, we're going to be talking to Mr. Richard Ralph, owner of the Pink Zebra Moving Company. Did I say that right?
You did. You said that right. Pink Zebra Moving Columbus.
Yes. So tell me about Pink Zebra.
Pink Zebra is a customer experience first transportation household good moving franchise. We move household goods, but we do it at a customer service elite standard. The overall goal is to create a high level customer experience for the client.
And how do you guys go about accomplishing that?
Well, first we're professional. All of our employees are employees of the actual company. We own our equipment. We use all the technology to make sure that our moving or our employees have all the resources they need to be able to do a good job, from dollies to software and apps. We feed our clients as well as give them surprise boxes. As you see, we got tons of boxes and you heard the call from one of my clients where she found the box.
I did.
Just recently, and was like, oh my God. So typically we get a lot of tears and unbelievable joy. I mean, you can't make everybody happy, obviously. There's always
that bad apple out there.
If you'll say yes, the bad apple. I was going to choose a different word, but
we'll stick with bad apple.
Yeah, so bad apple. You always got some bad apples.
Yeah.
Or the unenthused by your efforts.
Yeah.
But that's basically what we are. And the way we got here is Ron Holt is the founder. Our corporate headquarters is based out of Birmingham.
Okay.
And he just had a horrible experience with the moving industry with a loved one of his family, and he realized there was very little he could do from a client because no one cared.
Yeah.
In the entire company. So as an umbrella, that company's customer service was poor.
Yeah.
And it became extremely obvious to him once he tried to, escalate it to resolve the situation he was having. And from there, he realized that there could be major disruption in a field if he could add the one element that it seemed like every transportation moving company didn't care about.
Absolutely.
Which was the customer experience, the customer service, the professionalism in that realm. And it's a blue collar job, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun.
Yeah.
You can't dazzle it. You can't make it more.
I like that. Drop a little razzle dazzle
Razzle
on it.
dazzle, yeah. You have to have, we like it to sizzle. Anyone can pick up a refrigerator, but we do it with a smile. We do it with enthusiasm. We bring the extra energy and the extra attitude to help the client relax about the stressors of moving.
And so outside of that, the culture that's just created inside of this business, on top of that, you're trying to bring jobs to Columbus. What's your goal with that? You told me. Let's tell my listeners.
My goal for Columbus community is 100 jobs. I would like to create 100, decent paying jobs in this area.
Okay. And
That's a personal goal of mine.
So what about you? Tell me about you as a person. So you're military, correct?
Yes. I'm originally from Philadelphia, kind of a latchkey kid, learned early how to multitask at a high level because of just the city life. I joined the military at the age of 18. I learned a lot of skills and a lot of good things to help me move forward in what I'm doing now. But I spent 22 years in the military.
Well, thank you.
Serving, sacrificing, very proud of that. Got out of the military. Didn't necessarily want to work directly in government. Felt like I had a calling in entrepreneurship and business. And I wanted to learn it from every side, from a sales side, from a marketing side, from an ownership side. So I started out in sales and had some success there for a couple companies. Was number one in the state for both of these companies at one time or another. Realized I had a good potential to sell once I realized what that was, doing business with the customer. And everything comes down to I'm the expert. So if I'm trying to help you move, I need to control the conversation so I can facilitate your needs. And to me, that's what a professional, salesperson or consultant does. They find out what that client needs and then figure out how to best service them. If that client has the patience and the faith and trust to be able to, understand what it is you're trying to do. A lot of times they don't know, you're just trying to figure out what that person needs. Sometimes you don't know what you need.
Yeah.
In the auto industry, they think they want a Camry, but come to find out they probably should get the RAV4 because of their job that they completely forgot about when transferring things. And in the moving industry, there are some key words that I've noticed that people always say, it's not that much stuff.
Yeah.
Or here's what I want you to do. And one of the things that I know I have to do is direct them from, hey, I'm here to make this a no-brainer for you. I don't want you to focus on it. And I know you've been focusing on it for a while because you have a lot to say about how you want it done.
Yeah.
And my goal is to take that off your plate before you get to that point. I need to move stuff. Let me call Richard over at Pink Zebra Moving in Columbus, and that's the end of it. I know they're going to show up on time with professional experts in this field, ready to do some work at a high rate of pace safely. I've done the work for you of risk management to make sure your equipment's not going to get damaged or your household goods are not going to get damaged. I've already planned and allocated the resources to accomplish this at a high level. And that's what I do for the client after talking to them and figuring out what it is that they need. So
that's why you're getting those types of reviews afterwards, though, and then those phone calls, because it is a stressful situation when you're having to go through, especially if it's a big move. Now, do y'all do state to state as well? Long distance moves?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, we do military moves, which are some of the difficult ones, but we're up to the task.
Okay.
So recently we're taking some customers and clients from the military down into Florida, into a new home. We're also taking some church members from Columbus, Muskogee County into South Carolina. Those are some of the things that we're doing outside of the state.
Okay. Now, you're also just super passionate in general about kind of networking with or helping and mentoring other entrepreneurs, correct? Am I saying this right?
Absolutely. Every one of my staff, I'm older, so I don't just say, hey, this is my employee, I'm the boss. Everything I've learned in my journey from the military to my sales experience to marketing, finance, and just being an owner, I find lessons daily that I can show them so that they can expect it in their future.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, I'd love every guy to stay here for 30 years. But I know there's a time where he may stay here a year, he may stay for 6 months, he may be for whatever amount of time. During the time that he's here, one of my goals is to make sure when he leaves, he knows more and he has an idea what right looks like, and he's better at assessing risk management.
Why do you, how do I want to ask this? Why do you feel like there is such a lack in people knowing what's right these days? people don't know the direction to go.
Culturally, I think your information is based off where your motivation is in that second. Mm-hmm. So if a pink truck drives by with stripes on it, you're like, what was that? Was that an ice cream truck? Then you Google it, and it says, hey, that's pink zebra moving. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, every day there's thoughts that run through your head, and since you have a supercomputer attached to your hip, that's the motivation to find out. I think that needs to be disciplined a little bit. People should have a structured list of skills that they can get, because it's right there on your hip. The motivation for a lot of young kids isn't say, well, how can I get an LLC? Because it's right there in your phone.
Yep.
The steps to get an LLC. They're not going to do that. They're going to be motivated and triggered to do what it is. Because it's like, if there's always a full candy jar, there's no incentive to ever take candy out of it. But if you start noticing that it's going down, you're like, I need to get me a couple Snickers before they're all gone.
Yeah.
And information has become an abundance of accessibility at any time. So I think the desire to learn isn't as strong. Mm-hmm. Now, if over a period of time our government starts to censor things, because I notice YouTube isn't as broad as it used to be.
Yeah.
10 years ago, when I would go and open up a YouTube page, there would be a plethora of things I couldn't even think about that I was like, I'm curious.
Yep.
Let's see what that is. National Geographic. Oh, this is how you drill a mine. Deep sea fishing, everything. So now, the only thing that pops up on my YouTube is the Philadelphia Eagles. You know why? Because I'm consistently Googling what's going on in the draft. Yep. So we're really starting to lose that freedom, because now you kind of got to know what to search for, right? Mm-hmm. In some ways, because the algorithm and the search words and all the triggers are starting to literally box you in. Well, you've searched the Philadelphia Eagles for 3 days in a row, so that's all we're going to feed you.
Yep. See, it's so...
So that's why, to answer your question,
yeah,
that's strategically what I think is happening. What you search is becoming your funnel of information. Mm-hmm. What you're interested in at that particular moment becomes the funnel.
Absolutely. I will 100% agree with that. From my side of the world, on my marketing sales side or my advertising sales side, I mean, we can pinpoint it down to the exact person that you're looking for to reach, and only reach those people that are looking at, traveling or moving different places or whatever, and find that. But it's scary because we can find every single person in the country who is on their phone for more than 5 hours a day, that makes X number of dollars, that shops at this store and does this exact thing, because everything is connected and you are tracked in every single thing that you do, whether you know it or not.
Right.
So I get scary.
So this algorithm, or however you want to do it, our approach, this ecosystem is starting to solidify. Mm-hmm. So instead of us shaping it, it's starting to shape us.
Oh, yeah. And have you looked into all the AI stuff that they have now?
Right.
Ooh, scary.
So it's high profits, low expenses, automate as much as you can, what's trending, project it, let's keep it happening. So at first we were doing it, and they started to realize and make the coalitions between what it is we're doing and bring it together and say, hey, this is what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. But now it's getting to the point where we're all being herded, in a sense.
Absolutely.
Like the environment of the digital realm is starting to really direct us instead of us directing it, because I think they're putting too much energy in trying to anticipate what you want as opposed to creating it or having a better service or enhancing what they have. They try to figure out what word track how can I list this for them to grab me, or to step on somebody else to grab me.
I don't think that could have been described any better than exactly how you just said that.
Absolutely.
So, and that makes everything that you just said come together and click even more for me right now, because it's true. They do anticipate every single thing. Well, that's something else good for you and your company and your culture, because people are going to be so used to this AI, the automation, that y'all are offering that human touch to something finally.
Absolutely. We're hands-on. My first phone call is my favorite because it gives me an opportunity to interact with a client and ask a few questions early in the experience to kind of find out who they are and what's important to them.
Yes.
And that process is probably the most risky part of it, because at this point they're very young in the process of knowing what it is that makes that move successful, and they don't know me.
Yeah.
So I have a huge gap to overcome, and sometimes you can be judgmental. And
Yeah.
it goes back to when I was doing door-to-door sales. I had a preconceived notion that I was an aggressive, toned person with a fairly athletic build. So naturally, if in our ecosystem, they probably see me as a lion. And like sometimes those elks would just take off before I even got a chance to offer what I had. And so I always knew I had about 5 minutes before I became a lion.
Okay.
That was what I was against, because I don't have that trustworthy face. And my military background makes me very decisive.
Okay.
So typically people see me as a threatening individual, but I am 100% protective. And I do business up front with you so I can get it out the way as fast as possible so that I can get to the fun stuff and make your life better and easier. Okay. But I know that icebreaker initially, like you were saying with the hands-on, it can't happen over the phone. On the internet. It can't happen through a text. It's got to happen with a conversation. Either face-to-face, I need to talk to you because I want to be able to hear who you are, tell how afraid you may be, because a teenage young girl moving from her college dorms into, as a 20-year-old graduating, moving into her first apartment has a different sound.
Absolutely.
Because going off to college, your parents are like, oh my God, my baby. And you're like, yes. And I'm not paying for it, right? On the other side of that, 4 years later, she's a little intimidated.
Yep.
And I can pick up on that because I noticed this is totally different than the last time you had to move. And I was, you're doing this as an adult now. So those is how I'm able to create these experiences for these clients, because the social intelligence aspect typically starts to play a role when we're having these initial conversations.
And that's when you know you're doing your job right, whenever they call back that same company for their next move. If you're their first call, you know you've done that job right. So what's the right way for someone like me, the Elks out there? What's the best way for us to approach you when we're trying to do business with you?
Well, I would say do your due diligence, your research. Once the research shows you that Pink Zebra has a perfect Google review score. At this current point, we'd like to keep it there, but I know you can't satisfy everybody. But as of right now, all our customers are ecstatically happy. When you look at the other reviews, you may or may not see that, depending on where you live. The question is, how are they able to do it? Because they must be doing it right? So I would tell you, once you've done your due diligence, afford yourself the opportunity to trust in the process. Okay. Like, why are they this good? Because it doesn't do me any good to hire a publicist and then question everything they do to make me popular.
Yes.
So I have to let them make me popular. So once I say, you know what, I'm going with this publicist because I feel like they have the social and emotional intelligence to kind of understand where I want to go. They can see the vision. Now let me see how that translates in the eyes of an expert. Okay. We don't do that a lot because we're not trusting. Capitalism can go a lot of ways. It could be a good experience, bad experience. It could be an okay experience. There could be some details that were left out that you wish were exposed. Expectations could not be set correctly. So the way I would instruct, do your research, and then once you decide on who you want to go with, have enough faith for what their work is going to do and how it comes out on the back end as a satisfied customer. Let it happen. Now, if it's an experience you don't want, you're going to learn from that experience.
Absolutely.
But you have to afford people the opportunity to wow you and for your research that you did, because the phone call is probably the third or fourth step in this process. Yeah. The Google search, the need, you know, the conversation with the family more than likely took place before you even thought about calling me. Yep. So by the time you get to calling me, you've done a lot of things. So let's just assume it's working and it led you to exactly where you should be. Let it work.
Let it work. And then if it's not working during the process, you're very open in communication. You answer your phone every time.
Absolutely, every time. If you don't get me, rage call, because it's probably because I'm on the phone and AT&T. The glitch is not with me. I promise you, it's a limitation in technology because I enjoy talking to homeowners and clients. That's where I excel. The client's needs are most important. And I don't have to do any more because I truly care. So when you get the client's needs and me actually caring, that equals a great experience.
Absolutely.
Because, go ahead. That equals a great experience in my book every time.
And apparently so, because if your Google's perfect right now, it's a great experience for them as well. So is there anything else that you'd love for the community to know about you or your involvement in it?
When it comes to moving, no one has ever taught a class in the 9th grade how to hire a mover one-on-one. You've never had that class, right? So if it's something I want to tell the community out there in moving, quotes don't really get you anywhere other than letting you know how much it could potentially cost you. Mm-hmm. What you want is a relationship with the people who are going to be touching every precious item in your house.
Yes.
That they understand the value of it. A broken sewing machine has no value to me. But if it's an heirloom to your family, it's priceless. It is so important that you get a person on the phone who can pay attention to detail long enough to be able to capture that thought and transfer it to all of the people who are going to be touching this sewing machine. Absolutely. Effectively. Because this is where the risk management becomes difficult. Hey, they have a sewing machine that's been in their family for 400 years. It does not work. Key thing to this conversation is it's 400 years old. It's going to look like crap. Yeah. It's very important to this family sentimental-wise. Mm-hmm. We have to show the client that we care. So when you're having your stuff moved, I would want my clients to know, and everybody who's going to hire a mover, the most important aspect is the attention to detail, and do they care? Because I can get over quoting. He tells you one number, I'll go $50 less. Done deal. I got the job. But what if I don't care about attention to detail? What if I don't own my assets? What if I can't guarantee you that I'm going to show up on the day that you're going to close on this house and you have nowhere to go because I don't show up and move your stuff? Ooh. So the reputation, how accountable and reliable they are, which is linked to that, matters more than the quote. Now, of course, if somebody quotes you $3,000 or $2,000 more than anyone else, you got to ask yourself why. Yeah. But, when someone offers to move you at a rate that's extremely low, you need to do the same thing. Do you have insurance? Do you mind me asking? How many employees do you have? You should investigate the person that's going to be touching every precious item in your house. Absolutely. And it shouldn't start and end with the price point. Because the value is what you get, not how much it costs.
Boom. Boom. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on here with me today. You guys, where can people find you?
You can find me in Columbus at 3021 Sandy Parkway. The best way to find me is on Google. Okay. We believe that, the methods have to be in tune with the way people find you most days. Mm-hmm. So, we put the energy and the resources into the internet because we don't want you to end up having an uncertified, unauthorized, lack of attention to detail, no integrity company with your stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to have that experience because when you call me on the next move, you're already on guard. Like, my last experience was so horrible and my generalization is all Columbus. Yeah, we don't want you to have that trauma that all movers are bad people because you had a bad experience. Yeah. So we invest our money to protect you too. We don't want you in the wrong hands. We want you to us. So we're investing to get the resources. You can find us on the internet. You can find us on Google, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. Anywhere you look in today's era to find things, that's where you can find us.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Make sure you Google Pink Zebra Moving Columbus, Georgia. And until next time, if you want to hear yourself during this radio show, give me a call, 706-505-5083. We can get your commercials running right here on this podcast. Bye.